This is Seahawks Stories, 50th Season Edition, presented by Emerald City Athletics.
Broadcasting from the Seahawks podcast studio, presented by Sony, an official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. We are continuing to tell stories from the Seahawks' 50 seasons. And today, we get to tell perhaps my most favorite story, and I think all Seahawks fans' most favorite story, the story of the Super Bowl win. To do that today, Cliff Avril and Red Bryant join me. Guys, it's so good to see you.
Thank you.
Great to see you as well.
Great to be in this fancy studio, by the way.
I mean, we've leveled up a little bit since you were here.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit?
Nah, it's nice, though.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, when you know you get to talk about the Super Bowl win, what's your level of excitement?
Oh, man, 10. I mean, for me, at least, I think 10 because, I mean, at the end of the day, as a professional athlete, you want to be one of the last teams standing at the end of it all, right? Even as a kid, like, that's what the Super Bowl is everything. So to be able to have accomplished that with so many great people, I think, nothing but excitement. It's 10 for me.
I agree with Cliff. It's a 10 for me as well. You know, I think winning the Super Bowl gives you an opportunity to reflect on how rare that is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a lot of champions in terms of in their profession to win it all. And then to just be a part of that, like I said all the time, that win will live longer than we will.
Yes.
You know, so that's a huge honor, a privilege, and I just want to go on and say I'm grateful that I got to play with 3 of the 50 best players ever. And Mike Bennett, Cliff Avril, and Brandon Meebane.
My God.
You know, they wouldn't have been able to do their job if you weren't doing your job, right?
1,000%. No, I think, I mean, although, you know, we were fortunate enough to get voted and be a part of that, I think, and for me, in all the sports teams that I've played on, when I got here, that's when I realized how much football is actually about the team and the people around you. And my guys up front, whether you talk about Meebane from Red Bryant to Clem, all those guys, honestly, they allowed us to be able to have the success that we've had.
I always thought that was a special team. I mean, like having covered different teams, and it's really hard when people try to compare teams to that one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there will ever be another team like that. It was dynamics. It was, quite honestly, it was your experience in Detroit before you had gotten there that made you that player. It was, you know, BB coming from his background.
Yeah.
It was me. There was just so much diversity and uniqueness. I always thought that was a really standout team.
I think that's a testament to management,
Yes,
to Coach Carroll, to Coach Quinn. Those guys, in terms of winning, they don't care what it look like. They want the guys that they feel like possess a skill set that can help the overall team. And a lot of times you have 2 forms of coaches. You have some coaches who feel like they can tell you what to do. And then you got some coaches who feel like, okay, the player tells me what's best for us to run. And I think Coach Carroll fit that mold to a T. If you look at our dynamic of our team, you got a rush in like Cliff Avril or Chris Clemens, who those guys are not 300 pounds, but they deadly. Then you got a guy like Alan Branch or Red Bryant or Clint McDonough that's like a swift knife. You know, like Truck could play nose or he could play 3 technique.
Mm-hmm.
You got Brandon Meebane, the unsung hero, the anchor.
Yes.
You know, like the thing I've learned from Meebane as a player who coming in the league is consistency and just dependability. Like if I know what I can get out of you, I know what I got.
Yep.
It's the unpredictability. Like Jacqueline Hyde, okay, one day you this guy and the next day you somebody totally different. And so, and the makeup of the team, you know, I played with unselfish guys. You know, I played with Micah Bennett. Micah Bennett probably should have never been in Tampa Bay, but we try to do something where we try to manipulate the roster and we lost him. And then for him to come back and for him to still be that quality of a teammate, that says a lot about him. That team, I always steal a quote that Michael Irvin said, you know, the best team don't win, the best family. And that's what we were family. Like we hung out, we spent time with each other, and when we practiced, we got after it. You know?
Yeah, you did.
And it was one for all too. Right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, wasn't no you just jumping on Big Red by himself. You have to take his whole doggone D-line with you. You know.
Well, it's how you guys ended up to be the #1 defense, and it was a stretch where nobody was better than this defense for 4 straight years when it comes to scoring defense, which is why that Super Bowl matchup against the Broncos was really interesting from the outside because it was #1 offense versus #1 defense. You've got Peyton Manning, you've got Russell Wilson, you've got the Legion of Boom and Marshawn. Like, there's so many different storylines. And I thought it was so interesting because it did feel like it was Seattle that was in this upper left-hand corner, and everybody else in the country is like, oh, Peyton's got this one. And I remember walking around the streets of New York City going, what are these people thinking? Like, were you guys surprised by the narratives?
Yeah, well, yes and no, right? Because leading up to the game in particular, I know for me, I remember, you know, we had just played San Fran, so now we're breaking down, you know, the Broncos. And we're watching their offense, and we're like, I mean, they're good, but they not like we gonna get after them. You know what I mean? And so when you start seeing what the media is talking about, like, oh, the #1 offense and all this other stuff, it's like, y'all haven't been watching what we was doing out there on the West Side, like West Coast, like these guys is out here. And then you know you look at the stats, you're like, we're #1 in everything, and y'all still not get. So that they just gave us put another chip on our shoulder to be able to go out there and play lights out, which is what the guys did.
And most people, when they was talking about the Broncos, they were right in terms of their adoration. Like, Peyton Manning is a generational talent. And we as a team understood that. But it's one Peyton Manning. It's not 11 of them. And that's what people, I feel like, didn't account for. Like, Peyton Manning is great. He's a phenomenal quarterback, but he's only one person. And when you look at their team in terms of physicality, we felt like we were the more dominant physical team, and it showed that.
Well, and really, what that Broncos offense did really well, it was scoring, but their time of possession, they had like the fastest scoring drives in the league. I remember that year, right? There was a lot of explosive plays. They would just move it down the field. Well, if you've got a defense like you guys, that first of all, that's not going to happen. Second of all, now you flip the script on them, and that's a world of hurt.
Yeah.
Did you sense? I mean, before the first safety, was there any sense it could be a blowout? Be honest.
I wouldn't say a blowout. Because even at the half, I was still on the sideline telling guys like, "Yo, that's still Peyton Manning over there." You know what I mean? Like that's still like you have to. And I think that's the other thing too is we respected the game, right? We respected the other athletes on the other end. So, you know, having an appreciation for what Peyton Manning is and what their team could do, yeah, for sure. But up until that kickoff return by Percy, that's when I was like, okay, we can let our hair down. Now we can. now we might have this thing in the bag.
I was still nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was still nervous.
It was hard to be nervous after you saw Percy.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the backstory, you know, we hadn't had Percy all year.
Yeah.
And then you come into the biggest game and actually had an opportunity to be the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
That's like Cliff said at the start of this off, that's what you dream about as a kid. And so to deal with all that type of adversity, to have the guys that we had, like I think about Golden, I think about Javon Curse, I think about Doug Baldwin, Sidney Rice, Zach Miller. These are all offensive guys I'm calling. I'm a defensive guy, and I know Max Under. I know Bruno Giacomini. I know these guys on an intimate level, and so I know the time and the work they put in, and it's just a validation. I know the work Cliff put in, Mike Bennett, and a lot of people don't understand the 49ers in terms of a personnel and a matchup.
Yeah.
That was the Super Bowl.
For sure.
You know, like the physicality, and if I'm not mistaken, we actually came back from 14 during that game. Richard Sherman, and rightfully so, he gets a lot of credit for shutting down Michael Crabtree. But I'm grateful that I played with the unit I played with because we weren't worried about being famous. But I'm of a personal belief that a team, when they was getting ready to play the Seattle Seahawks, they were worried about their front seven as well as their back end.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes hand in hand. So I do believe that I played with one of the best secondaries to ever play.
Mm-hmm.
Where I disagree at times, I think our defensive line was better than advertised.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chris Clemens, I'll go into any alley with him anytime. I'll go in any alley with Mike Bennett, Cliff. I'll go in any alley with Tony McDaniel, Clint Truck driver. And when you talk like that, those men earned that.
Yeah.
Didn't nobody give them anything. And if you look at all of those stories from all of those guys, Cliff might have been the highest draft pick we had on our defensive line outside of Bruce Irvin, and which was our youngster. And so those guys, man, I kind of get emotional because that was I went from the penthouse to the outhouse going to Jacksonville, and I love Jacksonville, so don't take it personal, Jacksonville. But I'm talking about in terms of record. From going 13-3 to 3-13, like that does something to you. And then when you get to the other side, like Dave Caldwell told me, and I love Dave Caldwell, the general manager. He said, "I just wish I would have had a younger Red Bryant," and I understood what he mean, because a younger Red Bryant was trying to go through a wall. The seasoned Red Bryant who done had success, you don't have that same dog in you. And that's what Coach Curl did a great job of keeping that hunger. Mm-hmm. You know, it's something about poverty. It's something about just grit, struggle, just do something to you. And he did a good job of you always had that in the back of your mind, like if you don't hold up your boy, somebody else will. Mm-hmm. And so that's a healthy motivation as well.
So what was the halftime speech? Do you remember what was said?
To be honest, I don't remember what was said.
We know it was long.
Yeah, it was long.
It's longer at the Super Bowl.
So, and to be honest with you, I actually snuck out a little bit to go catch a little bit of Bruno Mars because it was that long.
It was long.
Yeah, it was long. But I'll also say even going back to what Red is talking about with Coach Carroll or just that year in general, like we were always prepared for everything too. You know, I think our mantra that year was like, just go 1-0. Just go 1-0 every year. Let's play championship ball. Let's go 1-0. So when we got to the Super Bowl, it was really just another championship opportunity that we had, 18 weeks of preparing for anyways, right? So the game wasn't too big for us. We were ready for whatever. And going to what Big Red was saying too, as far as for like that brotherhood, when I got to Seattle, like I was very much trying to figure things out because I didn't think what was being presented to me was true, because I'm like, I had a different experience with the NFL. I had me hanging out with my entire D line every single week was not a thing. You know what I mean? And that's what we did. We ate dinner every single weekend on Saturdays together. Like our families hung out. We were a real family, and it showed on Sundays, because now we're playing for much more than just ourselves. It was just a bunch of selfless guys going out there playing for one another and turning up and having a good time.
It was really impressive. So were the 12s that year, which is why we all kind of needed noise-canceling headphones for everything. And this NFL season, feel every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones, the official headphones of the Seattle Seahawks. With premium noise cancellation, you are in the zone. No distractions, just pure football. Whether you are in your living room or on the go, you will never miss a beat with Sony headphones. Speaking of, I think the 12s did an awesome job of taking over New York City and New Jersey.
Oh, no question.
I thought that game day environment,
Yes. It was a home game for sure.
I'd seen a lot of them walking around town.
Mm-hmm.
That game day was off the charts.
Our fans, man, are the best.
Nothing like it.
It's nothing like it in the National Football League. And I've heard great things about Kansas City and Arrowhead, and I heard great things about the Steelers playing in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh actually beat us that year. I think it was like I maybe been the only part of the goose egg I was a part of. I think it was 20-0. And their crowd still didn't compare to the 12 fan like Seattle. It's something about our fans that energize every member of the football team because you feel that, if we talking about Big Low with the defense, we talking about my lady that she sometimes dress up as the Statue of Liberty, or
the pilots, Captain Seahawk, and all, like it, and the fact that players know the names of some of these fans, like that tells you how much we value them too, right? Yeah. Because they play, I say this all the time, and I'm not joking. Like the fact that teams can't audible or couldn't audible out of their plays or couldn't change up their snap counts. That split second gave me an edge, right? Gave me an opportunity to be able to get some of those sack fumbles and different things like that. So, like that plays a big role, and we don't take that lightly. We were so in tune. This is another part of why I think our defense was so good too. Is we were so in tune with one another that we were using hand signals, but most times than not, we already knew what the play call was going to be, right? So we're all on one accord, and if the defense is on one accord like that, we know that offense definitely isn't, because they need to make changes and whatnot. They can't do that. So that gives us that edge. So, yeah, the 12s, they rocked out. And then you talk about the Super Bowl. I remember walking out for warm-ups, and I just see a lot of blue and orange. And I'm like, oh, whoa, this ain't like us, because we traveled really well that year. But then we came out for, like, the actual warm-ups. I'm like, okay, there goes the green. There go that green. They here today. And it felt like a home game. It felt like a home game.
I would think Denver, if you asked Denver that, they felt that. Because when that kid snapped that ball and we got that safety, he felt that electricity in the building. And, like, you can't fake that. That's real.
Did you hear them say anything after that snap? Like, did you hear them either start panic or do one of those, crap, it's going to be a long day. You know what I mean? Like, did you hear any of that?
Yeah. Well, we were used to it, right? We're used to, like, the miscommunication, and we just didn't think it was going to happen that early in the game. You know what I mean? But I think on that play, if you look at Peyton Manning, like, he looks back and forth at the center, like, yo, what are you doing? It's over with for now. This is our game right here. Now, it was man. Just so many great memories, and you just remember, like I said, you just come out, you see all that blue and green out there, the fans going crazy. It was time for Seattle on the biggest stage.
Did Malcolm give you credit?
Did he
give you a little credit?
I'm still waiting for. I just want to drive the truck one time. I told him, I just want to drive it one time. You know what I'm saying? But no, of course he shows love. Every time I see him, for sure.
Yeah, it was Cliff that set up the pick six.
Yes,
for Malcolm that led to that. Cam's hit that game.
Oh man,
I mean, so many of them in all the games.
So many. Through the history of the team.
Oh, so many hits.
6'4". I don't know how much Cam weighed, but he looked like he weighed 260, maybe 240. And he's supposed to be a safety, but he's playing like a Mike linebacker. And thing about Cam, he didn't only hurt the opposing team, he would hurt his teammate if he didn't get out the way. Because sometimes, he'll have that gap outside of me. And he'll be Big Red. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. And Cam come in there, and it's just like a missile, man. And it's amazing that he's able to generate that type of power. But Cam he's probably not one of the more talkative DBs we have.
Yeah.
That fall with Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
Richard Sherman has to be a 6th-round draft pick and to go on to possibly have a Hall of Fame career. I mean, your play do your talking. Mm-hmm. You don't have to validate anything else. Your play do your talking. And that's how we feel as a D-line. Mm-hmm. Hey, I don't care who y'all put up. We won. Yeah. Everybody didn't win.
Yeah.
We won. So we let our play do our talking.
And to even I think something that's overlooked as well from that year, but the defense in particular, was we ran the same defense pretty much 75% of the time. Now, like, to give y'all perspective on that, like, this is the NFL where people make adjustments. Mm-hmm. And our whole motto, and I believe, was this is what we gonna do, and y'all got to deal with it. We know where our holes are at, and we know this is the only place you can throw it, and we know what's gonna happen, and this is where my D-line is gonna line up at, and y'all got to block those guys. Y'all got to block Bobby and those guys, and y'all got to try to throw past these guys on the back end. like to have that type of confidence, but also just honestly to have those type of players to be able to do that is unreal. I don't know this off back, but I'm almost guaranteeing there's not many teams that have played the same defense consecutively or consistently throughout a season and still was number one. You know what I'm saying? Like that I think that's unheard of, but that speaks to the rotation that we had with the big fellas up front. That speaks to the guys that we had on the back end and our linebackers.
And see, Brendan Brown, he played like a D lineman.
Yeah.
And he was a corner.
He did.
If you go look at the tape and you watch some of the things he was out there doing on that football field, then you understand why we went from probably being perceived as a soft team to as an extremely violent team. And he was a big part of that.
No doubt.
I remember watching those wide receivers like in the first and second quarter, and they get the flag, and I'm like, just wait a minute, just wait, because by the third and the fourth quarter, you are not going to want to see him at all. Okay, the celebration. We got to talk about the celebration before we wrap up. Then we're going to wrap up.
All right.
Was it the confetti? Was it holding the trophy? Was it the party? What made it real? Like what was that celebration for you?
For me, I would say, like, even just being a Seahawk with the history. So I was the 4th round draft pick, and my father-in-law is a legend, Jacob Green. And to see this community, just because I was drafted, I think about Dick DeCercio. I think about Mr. Walker. These are people who were some of the founder members of Costco. And my father-in-law was here during that time, with Starbucks startup. He reminisced, and I've got to see a lot of legends that came before we did, and just to see the amount of respect that Cortez Kennedy, who is a Seahawk legend, and the Saints love Cortez, but Cortez loved that version of the Seahawks that we was a part of.
Yeah.
That's saying something. And I got a picture that I got in my man cave of me and my father-in-law and the Confederate falling. And I just thank God for that, because I know what this community means to him. I know what this franchise means to him. I know what this franchise means to me and my family. And I know what that team, from the walk-on, from the 50 practice squad to the trainers to, man, I gave Stu. Me and Stu just gave the best hug ever.
And that's the chef.
Yeah.
The chef. That's the chef. To Pedro, to Rick, to Mo Kelly. Like, this organization is what makes the National Football League better.
Mm-hmm.
The people in this organization, the way they take care of you, the way they look out for you, the hospitality, the fan base, and the community should pat themselves on the back, and I'm grateful. That's what the Confederate to me meant.
Yeah. For me, in that moment, it was one of those opportunities because I got to reflect on how my career started, right? Starting off in Detroit, and people that know me know the story, but starting off in Detroit as a rookie going 0-16, right? To 5 years later, I'm on arguably one of the best defenses ever. I'm around a great group of guys that are family now. So just being able to sit in all that and just be like, man, like the true, like that moment for me was the true, and I live by this now, is like, whatever you're going through in the moment, if you continue to keep working hard, continue to keep putting your best self forward every single day, put the best foot forward every single day, like things will work itself out. And in that moment, that's where I was like, whoa, like could have easily quit, could have easily gone in a different direction, but this was the path that I was fortunate to go down. And to be able to sit there with being the last team standing, going from one of the worst teams ever to arguably one of the best teams ever, and being a part of and playing a role in that, it was just nothing like it. Just got a chance to like really appreciate it because of that.
It's a really special team. You two very special players on that team. Thank you for sharing the stories today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to this special episode and edition of Seahawks Stories from the 50th season. We'll be back next time.